This is Fred Beck from Fred Dogs Fighting. Today, I'm very lucky, joined by Jeremy Herriges. So thank you very much for coming on, Jeremy. It's good to see you.
Hey, thank you, Fred. I appreciate it.
So you got quite a good background back there. Is that things that kind of supporters have sent you in, or is that stuff you collected over time?
A lot of all the pictures are decorative, but all the stuff up here is like memorabilia, like signed gloves, things of that nature. So yeah, that's all a little part of my boxing history.
In the media pass as well. Do you have a load of media passes back there?
Yeah, I've got some of them. Like this is kind of like the Fury Wilder two-hole collection, and then I actually have a different part down further that has all my actual media passes and things of that nature. So it's kind of divided in different areas.
Okay, that's pretty cool then. So by the time this interview goes out, it'll be Canelo Plant Fight Week. Are you going to be there?
Mhm. I will be there for this one. Yeah, it's not where I have the ability to go to every single fight, but I kind of select which ones of the year I want to go to, and kind of plan out the content strategy for that particular fight. So most definitely I'll be there for that one. There's something special about this fight. I'm really curious to see how things go down between Plant and Canelo.
And were you there when they clashed at the press conference?
I wasn't there when they clashed at the press conference, and I'm always, it's funny, you never know what's going to happen at something that you typically might think of as mundane, whether it's a press conference or a weigh-in. Sometimes nothing happens. It's just a run of the mill, or sometimes something exciting happens, like what happened between the two of them. I remember, I forgot which fight it was for, but there was the Sean Porter weigh-in, and for a previous fight, and I'm thinking, okay, well, nothing's going to happen, and then he's overweight and he's cutting his hair trying to make weight, and I'm like, well, geez, I wish I tuned in, because that's really exciting stuff.
Yeah, I see what I mean. You never really know. That's kind of a good thing, I guess, but you never really know what's going to happen. On fight day, you kind of do, but on the way in
Mhm.
press conferences as well, when they're talking trash and trying to get each other, always quite exciting. And what are your overall thoughts on Canelo versus Plant? Because I feel like a lot of people are counting out Canelo Plant.
Yeah, and I understand that. I mean, Canelo looks so good that everyone's kind of thinking at this moment, like, come on, there's no one in this division that can stop him. But at the same time, we haven't seen, in my opinion, the best of Caleb Plant, because he hasn't had to show it yet. He hasn't had that level of opposition that could bring out the best in him. He's done what he's had to do, and he's looked great doing it. Don't get me wrong, but okay, now that he's up against the best, I think it's really interesting to see. Okay, well, now this is his opportunity to show us what he really has. So I'm more intrigued by the possibilities of Caleb Plant than anything. To me, that's what's kind of selling this fight. And of course, the fact that it's a full unification bout.
Yeah, it's very true, actually, what you just said about Caleb Plant. It's kind of like, well, don't you see kind of similarities in Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant, because they're both kind of pure boxers?
Yeah, I think that's a fair comparison. I I think Caleb Plant has the ability to be a little bit more slick. And the other thing that I would say too is that I think he's a little bit more, not to say athletic, but he always keeps himself in a little bit better shape. Not to say that
You mean
Saunders was.
like you mean like, sorry to interrupt, but you mean kind of he's more
Mhm.
disciplined than
Say that again.
you mean kind of Caleb Plant's more disciplined than.
Yeah. I think he's such a gym rat that he's always in the gym. He's always in shape. You never have to worry about him having to drop weight in order to make a fight. I mean, he's always on point. Where Saunders, you did have those concerns that, okay, well, what kind of shape is he going to come in for this fight? Against Canelo, obviously he came in fantastic shape, and he was performing admirably until he had a terrible, devastating injury. Had that not have happened, I thought he would have continued to be fairly competitive. Now, coulda, woulda, shoulda, it's great to say that, okay, well, if this didn't happen, then bottom line is Canelo has that kind of power that can cause a career, threatening injury. And now the question is, well, is that same scenario going to happen with Caleb Plant? I don't think he gets quite as damaged as Saunders did, but I do think that Canelo is going to win the fight. But there's always that chance that maybe Plant has that something special.
Do you think if you think Canelo's going to win, do you think Canelo stops him, or do you think it goes to the decision?
It's hard for me looking at Canelo against anybody to say he doesn't really stop them, at least within this division right now. The question is how does kind of Caleb Plant stack up in comparison to Billy Joe Saunders? I think that's really an interesting comparison to show us where he's at. I think similar results, but I do think it goes a little bit longer. And but yeah, I do think it's a stoppage. If I was a betting man, I'd say round 10.
Are you going to bet on the fight though?
You know what? I don't typically bet on any fights just because the odds and probability of winning in gambling are just so low that I've learned over the years it's just not worth it because you never know what's going to happen. Anything can happen. Someone with a fan, in a parachute can drop in the middle of the ring. I mean, it's so unpredictable to me in most cases. I mean, every once in a while, there's one of those betting lines that looks like it's 100% pure. But the nature of gambling to me, no, the house always wins.
Yeah, the odds are kind of never in the gambler's favor. What do you kind of make, since you kind of write about boxing quite a lot, what did you make of Canelo's words on Ryan Garcia that came out quite recently?
I hope that it was a wake-up call to Ryan Garcia that, hey, this is the best boxer in the world right now, and here's what he thinks of you, and here's what he thinks of your effort. So I bet that there's probably been a lot of frustration with Ryan Garcia coming out of the Reynoso camp, that they're probably not seeing everything that they want to see out of Ryan Garcia. Yes, he has a legitimate injury, and yes, certain things have happened. But in order for Canelo to say that, tells me that this is the feelings of a lot of people. And, Canelo right now is I think of like comparisons, like look at any other sport where the greatest athletes out there kind of being the leader. If he tells you or she tells you that, hey, I'm worried about you and your effort, it means something. I was always a big Bulls fan. So Michael Jordan to me was everything. If Michael Jordan said that to a player, that means you're in big trouble. So to me, having Canelo say that now, it means that, hey, you're in for something bad unless you wake up and do something about it. And hopefully Canelo's words had that effect and do wake him up.
Yeah, I mean, his problems weren't really his fault, but then if Canelo is saying that, maybe there's something more that us outsiders don't know, and the insiders in the gym, Reynoso, Andy Ruiz, maybe they need to know something that we don't. And I was looking at your channel today, and I saw that you interviewed Rolly Romero, and he doesn't give many interviews. What's he like to talk to?
Rolly, you never know what you're going to get with Rolly. Now, I've always had good interviews with Rolly. By good interviews, I mean he always says something way out there that's going to make for an interesting article. I highly doubt he's going to be talking anytime soon, considering the firestorm of sexual assault allegations that are swirling, and it's looking really bad. But he's always been a good interview for me. I know that hasn't always been the case with other people, but I know that one thing with Rolly is that he doesn't just want run-of-the-mill questions. How was training camp, that type of stuff. He wants something a little bit more biting, which I think a lot of fighters do. I think that's something I always try to stay cognizant of when I'm interviewing a fighter is, all right, what can I ask them that they haven't been asked 3 million times? And sometimes if I'm trying to craft a story around them, I have to ask some of those questions, but I do try to ask them something unique that maybe they haven't been asked before, or maybe something at least to break the monotony, considering that they're doing so many different interviews. But Rolly's always given me something that was interesting. It's just really unfortunate that someone that's so young and so talented is now we're finding out details, allegations that are out there. And to be fair, they are allegations, but if they prove to be true, are basically going to end, a career of someone that if it's true, wasn't who he thought he was.
Yeah. And how do you think he kind of asked? It's very interesting what you're saying about not asking, how was your training camp? How are you feeling? Because everyone asks those questions. I guess they're important, but maybe ask them in a different way, in a different style was quite good to do. And obviously, Rolly's he's very awkward and he hits very hard. So does Tank in a way, I guess. But how do you get on a Tank? Because he's kind of like a Wilder who can box. I know I said that before, but he hits very, very hard. Both of them do.
Yeah, they both do. Tank, though, to me, obviously, he's a much more refined boxer. He's got it. He's got something special. Not to say that Rolly doesn't have something unique about him, but if you look at the two together, I mean, Tank just his abilities and his physical abilities. I mean, the hand speed, the awareness, the foresight to be able to see where a punch needs to go and have that ability to plan ahead. That's something unique. And I guess that all comes down to boxing intelligence, and Tank's boxing intelligence is just levels ahead of Rolly Romero's.
Now, I do want to get your thoughts on one more thing. Tommy Fury and Jake Paul. I know it's kind of the cliche thing to ask, so we get these, but what are your overall thoughts on that matchup? Because a lot of people see it as a 50-50 fight. You don't get that match in boxing.
You know, the Jake Paul thing, I think we have to look at it for what it is. You know, it's a guy who's a novice boxer, and now against Tommy Fury, a guy that's another novice boxer, but at least a guy that really has some boxing experience. I mean, I guess that's the only thing really selling this fight. I think it's going to be a terrible fight. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it's going to be a very good fight, considering the performances that each of them put in last time. I'm really seeing the high watermark for this being quite low. So I'm not really excited about this. I know that a lot of people started talking about it, and it became a trending topic on Twitter because you're talking about Jake Paul. So his popularity and his ability to get attention, he's doing what a good social media star does: constantly get attention, constantly get clicks, and that's what he's there for. And he does a good job of it. More power to him. You know, but I had a hard, I wasn't the one that ended up writing about the announcement for Fansided, and it's getting harder and harder for me to do it, because it's like, all right, we've seen kind of what he is and what this fight's going to be. I'm not excited about it. And is this really news to any of us? We knew he was going to fight Tommy Fury. Okay, now we have a fight date. Yay.
I can see me in the press conferences. They're going to be very entertaining, the weigh-ins press conferences. They better have more than one press conference. They should do one over in the US and over in the UK, I think.
Yeah, you know what? I could see them doing sometimes for some of the bigger fights, they'll do like a press tour. I don't know if he's going to do that. I guess we'll see how much they want to invest in all that. But yeah, I mean, it was nice back in the day when, you know, pre-pandemic, when you would have a media tour. I can't remember. I think maybe it was Canelo versus somebody. They
Mayweather McGregor, they did that, didn't they?
Okay, yeah, they did like a 4 or 5 city, you know, tour of it, which I thought was cool, and I thought it helped build up the fight, getting 2 fighters with animosity together. You know, hopefully good moments are going to come from each of those things. So yeah, I think that's always a good strategy. I just don't know how much they're gonna try to do it with this fight. Obviously, there's always going to be the interest there because Jake Paul is good at social media, and that's what he does. He gets attention.
Yeah, and he certainly does. I guess it will be exciting. I think it's less than 2 months away, so it's not that long off. But all right, Jeremy, thanks so much for your time today, mate. I'll put your channel in the link in the description. Where can people find you on Instagram and Twitter at?
Yeah, Instagram, I'm at That Boxing Writer. You can also find me on YouTube at That Boxing Writer, and then on Twitter, I'm at A Boxing Writer. That Boxing Writer has too many characters for Twitter, so I had to be creative.
Yeah, we need our word of twisted, and that's a bit. Then we'll catch up soon, then, Jeremy. Thanks for your time.
Hey, thank you, Fred. I appreciate it.